Welcome back to Art and Soul, the space where creativity meets consciousness. Today, we're exploring something subtle, almost invisible, something you can't quite hear, but you can absolutely feel. It's called Shukusen, colored silence. Not silence as emptiness, not silence as absence, but silence as presence, silence as tone, silence as creative force. Take a breath with me. And listen closely. Even now, there's a hum beneath the room, a frequency beneath the stillness. And that's where we're going today. In Japanese aesthetic philosophy, there is deep reverence for what isn't said, what isn't played, what isn't filled. Shukusen, often translated loosely as condensed or colored silence, points to the idea that silence carries texture, emotional tone, atmosphere. It's the silence before the brush touches paper in calligraphy. It's the pause before a note lands in a piece by Ryuichi Sakamoto. It's the space between movements in a symphony by John Cage, especially in his infamous composition 4-3, where the music is the sound of the room itself. Colored silence isn't empty. It's alive. And when we begin to perceive its color, its emotional hue, we enter a new relationship with creativity. We often think creativity is about output, making, producing, expressing. But what if creativity begins in restraint? In the Japanese concept of ma, the space between, artists understand that what is omitted gives power to what is included. Painters know this. Writers know this. Musicians definitely know this. Miles Davis once said, "It's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play." In visual art, negative space defines the subject. In poetry, the line break shapes the meaning. In music, the rest gives the melody breath. Silence is not the opposite of sound. It is the frame that makes sound visible. When we don't allow silence, our creativity becomes cluttered, reactionary, and noisy. But when we cultivate colored silence, intentional stillness, ideas ripen. Have you ever noticed your best ideas come in the shower, on a walk, or right before sleep? That's Shukusen at work. The mind softens, the inner noise dims, and something deeper arises. In meditation practice, silence is rarely silent at first. There's mental chatter, restlessness, old songs replaying, to-do lists whispering. But if you stay, silence begins to change color. At first it might feel gray, dull or heavy, then maybe blue, spacious and cool, sometimes gold, warm and luminous. This is not imagination. It's perception refining itself. Many contemplative traditions speak about listening inwardly. In Zen, in sound-based meditation practices, even in Western sacred music traditions, silence is treated as sacred architecture. Listen to the slow unfolding in a piece by Arvo Part Notice how the silence holds the notes like a bowl. In meditation, we begin to hear that bowl inside ourselves. And that's when creativity shifts, because now we're not creating from noise, we're creating from depth. Here's something profound. Every sound is born from silence and returns to it. When a singer takes a breath before the first note, that breath is colored silence. And when a drummer pauses before the downbeat, that tension is colored silence. When you hesitate before speaking something vulnerable, that charged stillness is colored silence. In sound design and ambient music, artists intentionally work with this threshold. Listen to the atmospheric textures of Brian Eno. He doesn't fill space, he reveals it. And that's the difference. Creativity isn't always about adding. Sometimes it's about subtracting. Sometimes it's about listening long enough for the next true note to appear instead of forcing one. Silence has a visual equivalent. In animation, it's the held frame, the beat before the reaction, the pause before the leap, the stillness before the emotional shift. Studios like Studio Ghibli are masters of this. In Spirited Away, there are quiet transitional moments, a train gliding across water, wind moving softly through grass. Nothing dramatic happens, and yet everything lands. Even the foundational timing principles refined at Walt Disney Animation Studios rely on anticipation, that fractional pause before motion. Without that beat, action feels mechanical. With it, movement feels alive. Silence gives emotion time to register. It creates emotional readability. So how do we work with Shukusen in daily life? Here are a few invitations. Before beginning a creative task, sit in silence for 1 minute. No phone, no music, and just notice the color of the room. After finishing a piece, a paragraph, a painting, or a melody, remove something and see if the silence strengthens it. Sit quietly. Instead of focusing on your breath, focus on the silence between sounds and notice how it feels in your body. In dialogue, let there be a full breath after someone finishes speaking. And notice how the tone deepens. These are small acts, but they retrain your nervous system to value space. And when you value space, your art becomes spacious. We live in a world terrified of silence. We fill it with notifications, scrolling, endless input. But silence is not emptiness, it's potential. It is the canvas before paint, the inhale before song, the dark soil before bloom. Colored silence, Shukusen, invites us to trust that not everything needs to be filled. That creativity is not just expression, it is listening. So today I leave you with this. What is the color of your silence right now? Sit with it. Let it speak. And from that quiet hue, create. This has been Art and Soul. Until next time, listen deeper.